The Jeremy Swayman saga is getting crazy, guys. Welcome back to the channel. It's John here from Hot Take Hockey. If you're a new subscriber, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thank you to all the longtime subscribers. Like, comment, notification bell. I appreciate the support. But definitely comment your thoughts on this situation. I'm going to talk about Jeremy Swayman trade destinations, potential trade destinations, and potential trades, crazy ones that are out there. Not that they're realistic, but at least we can look at the potential destinations, and you guys can comment down below possible trade scenarios. So this is the stuff that's out there. I mean, from Paul Bissonnette, Heat Daddy, all media outlets, anyone that wants to talk hockey, everyone's talking about this. So Paul Bissonnette predicting maybe Detroit as a potential scenario. A lot of people talking about like the disrespect here from Cam Neely and the Boston Bruins to Swayman cannot be repaired. So we got to go through it. And ultimately, I want you guys, like I said, to talk about it in the comments. And this is going to be a conversation here for myself leading into streams and videos into the season. This is a massive conversation now. And at the end of the day, like, it can't be something that's ignored, and it's going to be something that if he's not signed or traded prior to the season, it's going to be this distraction in October, in November, and all the way up to the potential December deadline. So let's go through some potential destinations, starting with the new team on the block, the Utah Hockey Club. So again, that's like an OHL level of draft picks, but I feel like Ryan Smith and the Utah Hockey Club would be the team to do something crazy like this. So you throw a bunch of draft picks, lock it up next to Lawson Crouse, reasonable cap hit, a guy that the Boston Bruins would love, that Bruins fans would love. You get Viveiros to pair up with Korpisalo in Boston, and Utah gets Fabian Lysell, who's maybe a little disgruntled with this situation, along with the very disgruntled Jeremy Swayman. So the Bruins lineup would be pretty good. In terms of the forward group, that's a lot of depth. Your defense group looks still the same, very good. Again, your goaltending duo, a little bit of a question mark, but maybe Viveiros, contract year is a big year, and then Korpisalo as well in a new scenario. The next team, the Detroit Red Wings, the Paul Bissonnette shutout. So I could see this going in a few different ways, but I feel like Sebastian Cossa would have to be in this deal. If the Boston Bruins, especially a division rival in the Detroit Red Wings, I think you call Stevie Y and go, hey, we got the situation. Jeremy Swayman could be yours. Nate Danielson, Sebastian Cossa, come on board to the Boston Bruins. I'm adding the draft picks because I feel like Detroit could make this into a scenario where they become a contender right away. So a Brandon Carlo upgrade over Justin Hall would be huge. Throw a couple first-round draft picks. You get Swayman, you get Carlo, two huge pieces to a potential playoff run and a deep playoff run, because then your top four is looking really good. So again, I'm going big mindset here for Detroit and the fact that Boston's trading in division, but clearly Boston's not afraid to trade in division after the Ottawa trade, right? So getting Cossa and Danielson in this trade plus first-round picks would be insane. I feel like if you're Boston, you can't say no to an offer like that. And if you're Detroit, I think you do an offer like that because, like I said, you immediately become a big-time playoff performer. I think you have the goalie of now and the future in this trade. You have one of the better top fours right away in the division. I mean, at least after probably Boston. There's debate on how all the other top fours shape out. Like, what's Toronto's top four going to be? Florida losing Montour, right? So if Detroit has now Seider and Carlo on that right side, that's pretty solid. The left side, we'll figure it out if Edmonton's in there or not. But again, I think this could be a huge play for Detroit. Looking at the next team, the Seattle Kraken. So getting Swayman, I feel like Joey Decord's got to be in there. Getting Decord in Boston. There's going to be a prospect here, and there's probably going to be a roster player. So that's kind of my structure for these deals right now, guys. I feel like for Swayman, it's got to be a goalie, preferably a young goalie, a roster player to match up some cap and give Boston some more depth, and then a prospect and draft picks. I personally go through struggles on a day-to-day basis. You guys see me on YouTube. You see me hosting. You see me doing things in front of large groups of people. That still can bring a lot of anxiety. While anxiety is a common experience, it doesn't have to hold you back from reaching your full potential. That's where BetterHelp comes in, the paid partner of this video. BetterHelp connects you with a credentialed therapist who is trained to listen and give you helpful and unbiased advice. First, you go to their site, answer a few questions, and BetterHelp will match you to a professional who has years of experience helping people with struggles just like yours. You can do it all from your phone or computer via phone call, video chat, or messaging. However you feel most comfortable, it's the easiest possible way to start talking to a therapist. Let BetterHelp connect you to a therapist who can support you, all from the comfort of your own home. Visit BetterHelp.com/HotTakeHockey or choose Hot Take Hockey during sign up and enjoy a special discount on your first month. The Vegas Golden Knights. Again, similar structure But this one is more just roster players based. So Shea Theodore, William Karlsson, those would be huge gets for the Boston Bruins. If they added Shea Theodore and you had a defense group of McAvoy, Lindholm, Shea Theodore, Carlo, and Lorai Zadorov, that's by far the best top 6 defense group in the league. So this is where it makes sense for Boston if they wanted to do like an actual NHL type swap. Vegas gets one of the better goalies in the league, up and coming goalies in the league. They get some bite in their bottom 6 with Frederick and Geeky. Yes, they lose William Karlsson. But like I said, if they're going to lose Shea Theodore anyways through free agency, this is the type of deal you do if you're Vegas. You know you're going to lose Theodore. You use him in a value trade here. The biggest loss in this trade is definitely William Karlsson for Vegas, but at least they get 2 guys that can play center in Geeky and Frederick and can fill out a third line for them. Because at the end of the day, William Karlsson's probably lined up as that third line anyways. So Aiden Hill, again, the goalie to match the cap. So I actually love that for chaos in the NHL. Like I would love a deal like this, and I think, like I said, it would benefit Boston big time. You went into last year as like Zacha or Coyle as your number 1 center, and now you have a 1-2 punch of Elias Lindholm and William Karlsson. Like that would make this trade would be such a win for Boston. And like I said, I think it addresses what Vegas needs ultimately, and that's a number 1 goalie. That's like goes over the top. Again, Aiden Hill won them a Stanley Cup. I'm making that clear. Aiden Hill did win them a Stanley Cup, but they went through different goalies along the way, from Brossoit, obviously Thompson early in the year, right? So I just think Swayman would be their guy. There'd be no question about it. They don't have to worry about a Shea Theodore contract extension, and they got Noah Hannafin, so they're fine there. And on the left side, you can have Noah Hannafin and Brady McNabb, right? Colorado Avalanche, I saw a lot of people talking about it. I think this is a great fit. Massive trade, a lot to give up for the Avs, but you're in contention right now with McKinnon, Rantanen, and Makar. You're okay giving up first-round picks. Georgiev would have to go the other way to Boston. Georgiev, Korpisalo would be the tandem in Boston. And then Miles Wood, Manson, good pieces for Boston for another playoff run. I believe that was Colorado's first-round pick in 2023. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then Colorado gets Swayman. They also get Andrew Peeke to replace Manson, a cheaper, light version of Manson, right? A lot more of a light version. So I think that's the perspective here, because the whole thing that's out there right now is Colorado doesn't want to trade Manson because they're like, we don't have a replacement. Well, Peeke, again, like I said, he's much more of a light version of that, but he could probably partner with Sam Girard, and Colorado's not completely screwed on the back end. They also got one of the best pairs, if not the best pair in the league, with Devon Taves and Cale Makar, right? So that's the perspective, and then you get Swayman to the back. There's no issues. Georgiev's had some massive mistakes in big moments, massive just downfalls in the playoffs too. So I think the perspective there is you get Swayman in there, and he's locked in 8 years, whatever the cap hit is, and this cap hit marks it up probably for the most part. And then Colorado's depth is still pretty good. You're able to keep Ross Colton. You can maybe put Lycan on that third line to spread things out. And then your defense group is still decent enough. And then you have Swayman. I put 8.7 because I think when I was doing the cap, 8.7 fit nicely for this. So I could see Swayman signing 8.7 per in Colorado for 8 years, knowing he's the guy, knowing there's no competition, and knowing he's going to play for a contender every year. And then one more, Chicago. This one's such a huge hot take. I don't think this is realistic at all, obviously, but I think in the perspective of Boston getting some Toronto draft picks, including a first, and then getting Seth Jones on the back end. Again, think about the potential back end in Boston, right? Like you got McAvoy, Lindholm, Seth Jones, Lorai, and Zadorov, and I'm forgetting, Carlo. So you could go in so many different directions there, but if Carlo's not part of that deal going the other way, Carlo and Zadorov would be the best third pair in the league. So that's the perspective, but again, not realistic at all. But I think the big question is, and Joseph asks it, what's Swayman's value in the trade market anyways? So for me, like I said, I think the value really, like the one trade that I think would be insane would be this one, the Vegas-Boston one. But I truly think if you look back on this kind of deal, this is more where I think it aligns. Maybe Seattle's given up a little bit too much in their fan perspective, but I think the value's here, right? Like if you're Seattle and you want to be aggressive for a playoff spot, you're willing to give up the first round pick in this deal. Shala, which is a prospect, Decord, the goalie replacement for Boston here, and then a veteran forward like Eberle. Again, maybe you remove Eberle here and put like, I don't know, Bjorkstrand in here, but I think Bjorkstrand brings Seattle more value. So that's kind of the structure of a deal I see. I could see if it was Seattle in contention here. And again, Swayman's got the perspective here where they would maybe battle with Grubauer. So maybe Grubauer's part of this deal. But I see both sides, right? Like Decord's more value probably for Boston, the cap hit, the age, all that stuff. Grubauer, if he's in the deal, then I think more value is coming from Seattle. So like I said, guys, call me your thoughts. There's a lot of conversations about these teams. But I think in terms of the options, I think Utah's an option. I think Detroit's an option. I think Seattle's an option. I think Vegas is an option. I think Colorado, Chicago. Again, if I could do some ones out loud here, like maybe one of the California teams, like an Anaheim, I could see as an option. I actually forgot to put my LA one in here. So LA is an option. So I should have made that clear. LA is an option. I forgot to actually add my trade here, but I think I had a trade with LA that... actually, I think the debate with LA was Darcy Kemper's involvement, because you just acquired Darcy Kemper from Washington. That's a heavy cap hit. So does Darcy Kemper get flipped to Boston in that scenario, or do you keep a tandem of Kemper and Swayman and have Swayman obviously as the number one? You probably have like $14 million towards goaltending in that scenario, at least. So that's a lot, but I could see LA as an option. And then if I could throw one or two more, I mean, I think St. Louis, if they were willing to trade Binnington at some point, there's been some rumors around that. I saw some people talk about Vancouver just because of the Demko injuries. I don't know about that. Carolina would be the only other team to mention, actually, because they don't really have like a number one go-to right now, but they have a couple guys they could flip back to Boston in the deal. So Carolina is the other team I mentioned. So thank you guys, like I said, for watching. Keep an eye on everything to come for the Swayman rumors, the Swayman drama, all this stuff and more on Hot Take Hockey coming. We'll talk soon. Peace.